Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Laura Bellis, naturopathic doctor, and here to talk to you today about the Dutch test. This is a dried urine test that does a full comprehensive look at your female hormones, male hormones if required, and the adrenal hormones. This is the most comprehensive test, and I'd love to share a little bit about how it can give you some insight into your health goals. Okay, so let's get started at looking at the Dutch test. So this test is very comprehensive, so we're going to start with page 1 just to give you a little bit of an overview. This is a great way to quickly check to see what areas are weak and what areas of your hormonal system may need the most concern and work. Okay, so first off is page 1 of the hormone testing summary page, and this gives you a general overview as to your sex hormones, so your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, which are here on the right-hand side. And then we have our stress hormones or our adrenal hormones. And this is given to you in a 4-point cortisol test on the graph on the left. And you also have your total DHEA. DHEA is sort of our anti-aging hormone or the mother hormone that makes all of our other reproductive hormones. So we want that number to be ideally in the high normal range. And we don't want our cortisol to be out of our diurnal rhythm. So typically this graph on the left does show your cortisol pattern. The top bar in black and the bottom bar in black, which you can sort of see here, are the averages or the high and the low normal range. Your patient values or your values will be in red. And in this case, we have the patient complaining of a lot of fatigue, especially upon waking up in the morning and throughout the day. And that's because their red line or their 4-point cortisol test has been unfortunately low throughout the entire day. This is usually a sign of long-term stress and chronic stress, and this is a great way to see specifically what your pattern is. But it's not enough to know what's going on with your hormone levels from a cortisol perspective. We actually want to see how much cortisol you're breaking down, and that's what makes the Dutch test so unique. We not only look at total cortisol, which in this case, this patient is low, we also want to look at how much cortisol you're breaking down and using. And in this case, the patient's cortisol, total metabolized cortisol is very high, just barely at the high normal range, almost in the abnormally high range there. So what does that tell us? That tells us that not only do they have an empty tank of cortisol, they definitely are using and metabolizing more than they even have. So this gives us an idea of how much ongoing stress their body is currently under. And this is a great way, like I said, to look at your overall summary. There's a lot of information in this test, but as an overview, as a general overview, we can look at how that may be affecting this patient. If we look at the sex hormones, we have our estradiol, we have our progesterone, and our testosterone. It's important to look at the balance of estrogen and progesterone, and these urine tests are a really sensitive marker of giving you those values. So you're not going to get numbers that vary quite a bit because we're looking at 4 samples throughout the day and averaging them out. Better than a blood test because you're just taking a single sample, and the progesterone and estrogen can vary quite a bit. And in this case, the patient's talking about fatigue, low libido, and poor exercise recovery. In this case, we see low testosterone as well. So definitely something to look at and to understand what needs to be supplemented and where we need to be putting the support first and foremost. The test does a great job of after every picture, it gives you the general breakdown. And this is why it's so important to go through this test results with your practitioner, ideally your naturopath or functional medicine practitioner that's really going to understand these numbers. I like looking at the pictures. I think a lot of patients recognize that as well, but this gives you the nitty-gritty detail, and after your doctor has looked through those numbers, they can make sense of it based on the pictures the following page. So this page here is our hormone breakdown, specifically our sex hormones. And what I love about the Dutch test is it really breaks down your 3 metabolites of estrogen. So E1 is your main estrogen. We typically test E2 in blood work, which is your estradiol, but E1 can be broken down into 3 metabolites or 3 breakdown products, and they are not all helpful in the body. So for example, we have our 16, our 2, and our 4-OH estrogens, and the 2 is beneficial. The 4 is unfortunately the one we really don't want to be having a focus on, and our 16-OH is sort of middle of the road. It's a problem in certain cases, and we want to make sure that we're metabolizing all 3 properly. But if you have any family history of cancer or estrogen-sensitive cancers, or you feel there's a lot of estrogen excess symptoms like acne, bloating, weight gain, fatigue, moodiness, unfortunately, this could be the picture you get right here. There's no other test aside from the urine test that will actually break down your markers of estrogen, which is why this is a very invaluable look at what's actually happening with your estrogen levels. We have patients that have normal estrogen output, but their breakdown products are very skewed, so they're making a lot more of the unfavorable metabolites like 4 or 16-OH. They're not making as much of the 2-OH. And this is where your doctor can support you on proper detoxification, which supplements and nutrients you may need more of depending on which pathway your body is favoring. A final note here on the adrenal stress page. So like I said, the test of the Dutch looks at not only your overall output throughout the day, which a lot of saliva tests do as well. This additionally looks at your breakdown product. So it looks at your inactive cortisol, which we call cortisone, which would mean how much you're storing, if your body is making enough, are you storing it improperly, is there an issue with your thyroid? There's a lot of reasons why your body would store those things and preferably not use it. And then of course we have our daily free cortisol, which is how much your body is actually storing in the tissues in an active form. Remember, it's not just about what's stored, it's about what we're using, and that's why the metabolites of the cortisol are unique to this test. We don't get that with saliva, and we definitely don't get that with a blood test. A lot of people that are concerned about failing performance, like I said, the libido, issues that relate to testosterone can also be related to poor DHEA. And DHEA, as I mentioned, is that anti-aging hormone, and that strictly comes out of the adrenal glands mostly, and that needs to be addressed if that is low. So understanding what those numbers are can really fast track your success and fast track your treatment plan. One of the best additions recently to the Dutch test is they've added complementary organic acids to all of the samples. Organic acid tests, or OATs for short, are a great way to look at your nutrient levels, your neurotransmitters or brain chemicals, as well as overall stress and oxidation in the body, which unfortunately can lead to premature aging. So this Dutch test does add the three what we look at kind of antioxidant and nutrients. So it adds B12, vitamin B6, great for, again, estrogen problems, PMS, B12, we all know it for energy, and glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. If you're low or deficient in this, you can definitely have issues with poor metabolism of estrogen, definitely more issues of fatigue, toxicity as well. And weight gain, especially if everything else you're doing is working out well. This can be one of the missing pieces. I love the neurotransmitter metabolites. So here we have three. They are your dopamine, your norepinephrine, and your serotonin. So kind of your motivation neurotransmitter, your energy neurotransmitter, and your relaxation, sleep, and happy neurotransmitter. So looking at those three will also help us understand a little bit about gut bacteria, about your brain function and how stressed or not stressed, and how motivated or not motivated you may be. This is a wonderful way of giving you more insight into your brain-gut connection as well as overall mental health. And at the last two spots here on this page, we see melatonin and oxidative stress markers. Melatonin is awesome because it gives us an idea of how well you're sleeping, focusing on if you're not producing enough of melatonin at night, why is that, and maybe that needs to be addressed. That can also be due to a pituitary or a brain chemical imbalance due to hormonal signals, and that can be worked on. And then last but not least, oxidative stress. Do you need more antioxidants? Are you eating a ton of plant-based foods but still having a lot of DNA damage? And we need to get to the bottom of that. Having a high level of oxidative stress is one of the best preventative ways you can manage your overall health. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about how the Dutch Complete Test can help you on your health journey, don't hesitate to contact us today.